pleasure to meet you virtually, Lydia.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you.
I like your backdrop.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm actually in a garage.
Oh, nice. I wouldn't be able to tell that.
Well, that was the idea, but it was also I built like a room in here to keep it warm because I'm in New York and it's freezing right now.
Yeah.
Ice and snow everywhere, and yeah.
Ugh, I've been freezing here, but it's not any like I'm in Nashville, but I think it's like 30 degrees here, so nothing compared to what you guys have.
Yeah, we over the past week or so we've just been getting slammed with storms one after the next.
Oh, that's crazy.
So it's piling up and branches are down everywhere and
Whoa, so everybody's just, I mean, you're already stuck at home, so now even more reason not to leave your house.
Yep. The only thing I have to do is make sure there's paths for like the delivery people, you know, because that's what it's come down to. It's just like getting food delivered and Amazon and all that stuff, you know.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a little jealous though that you 30 degrees. I know that's crazy.
Yeah, I can go outside. Like we got snow a couple nights ago, but it was melted by the morning.
Yeah.
Compared to that.
Is it normally pretty cold in the winter in Tennessee?
I mean, it's just kind of like this. Like we'll get cold. It will probably get down to the 20s. Like I think actually we have a cold front coming through next week, and it's going to get to the 20s. But I'm from South Florida, so like that's really cold for me. But I did live in Boston for a bit, and that was, I mean, I don't know why. I don't know how I made it through that, because that was like what you're dealing with.
Yeah, the Northeast is just not fun.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
So I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, Luce, right?
Yes.
Okay. When I first, got in touch, when Lucy got in touch with me, after the whole thing, I was like, wait, how do I say her last name? Because I always butcher last names. So I'm Italian, so I instantly went with Luce and all this stuff, but good, Luce. Okay, very good. Lydia Luce, welcome to the Hell Fucking Yeah podcast. Sorry about my bad language. For those who may not know, Lydia is a multi-instrumentalist, a vocalist, songwriter, and known as the go-to string session player in Nashville. You can hear her new album, Dark River, coming out February 26th. I was lucky enough to hear it, and it's so good. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. So let's start at the beginning. Where did it all begin and your musical background?
Yeah. Well, my mom is she was a classical conductor. She's retired now, but she started playing piano and then organ, and then started conducting and ended up getting her doctorate's degree in conducting, and then had several different symphony orchestras. So my brother and I started playing piano with her when we were like 3. And then she had me play violin and my brother played cello. So when we were like 6 and 7, and then we kind of just got really into the classical music world, like went in deep. She would set the kitchen timer and we would practice every day. And she was really strict. Like she was kind of a stage mom, I suppose. And really she wanted us to be a part of her world. So we were, and we did. I mean, I did that all through high school. Even when I ended up going to college, I would still go back and play in her orchestra a little bit. So yeah, like deep classical roots. And then eventually I broke free from those and started to do my own thing. But yeah.
So who were some of your greatest influences, and what's the first record you loved?
Well, I grew up, like my probably first influences were my mom was the classical musician. And so we would only listen to classical music with her in her car. And then my dad would listen to like classic rock and like more folky kind of stuff. So I was introduced to like Peter, Paul and Mary and like Fleetwood Mac, and Stevie Nicks was like I just idolized her when I was a kid. I had a wall in my room that was just like Stevie Nicks pictures and my little shrine to Stevie. So that was like first influences for sure. First record, I mean, I
know it's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna say Rumors since I'm already on the Fleetwood Mac train, but the other record that came to mind that I probably wasn't introduced to until later, but just I really loved is Nick Drake, his record with I'm picturing the cover. It's green, but the one with, I think it's got like Pink Moon and all I think it was his maybe second record or something, but yeah, definitely into the classic rock vibes, like right when I was growing up.
Yeah, I mean, and you can hear a lot of that in the new record, Dark River. You can hear the classical influence with the classic rock and even, you know, older pop and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great. It's great. I can't say it enough. So another different topic here, but last year in March, a tornado ripped through Nashville and caused devastating damage. And you had a very close call yourself.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was home and I had just gone to, so this was March 3rd, 2020, like the beginning of an already insane year.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like the precursor to just insanity, but yeah, this was like the first tornado I'd ever experienced. So I was home, I'd just gone to an amazing show. I remember thinking like, wow, this is going to be such a great year, and like super just blissed out. And then I got home, I was in bed, I had just kind of started to fall asleep, and then I heard we have these tornado sirens that go off, and usually like we hear them all the time. They're very they do a lot of tests and stuff. So my first thought was just like, oh, it's just a test, whatever, like it's false alarm. And then I kind of just had this thought like, well, let me just like check. So my friend had introduced me to this weather guy. He's like a reporter, and he just does it like DIY, and he has a Twitter account, and it's called Nashville Severe Weather. And I looked at his Twitter, and it was like him on a video just being like, if you're thinking about going downstairs, stop thinking about it and go downstairs right now. And I was like, whoa, is he talking to me?
That's when it gets real. Yeah.
And I ran out. I like the winds were starting to pick up at this point, and it was very loud. And I went in and like just banged on my roommate's door and was like, we have to go downstairs. And her door was locked, and it was just chaos. And while we were running down the stairs, the tornado was passing over. And so we hid out in the bathroom, and then like, yeah, I mean, it's such a crazy type of storm. Like I grew up in South Florida with hurricanes, but this is just like instant panic. And then it's instantly over. Like it passes through so quickly. And then there's just so much devastation. So it happened so fast. And I was like, okay, well, I guess like nothing happened. And then you go outside and you start to see the damage. And then like my room was really messed up. A bunch of wood went flying through the wall into my room, like across my bed. And so it was crazy. And then we were out of the house for a month. And yeah, my whole neighborhood just like devastated. And my house wasn't the worst of it. Like I can still live in my house. So yeah, we had a crazy year. Crazy stuff.
Yeah. You know, I remember New Year's Eve 2019, you know, being like 2020, you know, clear vision 2020. It's going to be the best year ever. And oh,
the irony.
And yeah, March hit, and wow, what a year. So how's the rebuild effort going in Nashville on the path of this devastating tornado?
I mean, it's like kind of a mixed bag, because it kind of depends on the homeowners, like the people that didn't have luckily I had pretty good insurance, and my friend immediately introduced me to his contractor. They were like moving and fixing up the house. And so they introduced me to a contractor who didn't have a lot of work at the time. So like just very quickly started working on my house. So we were able to get back in, like we were out for about a month of that, pretty much like all of March. But my neighbors, I mean, their houses that are just starting to like, they're still rebuilding. And this is a year.
Yeah.
Like, two doors down, this beautiful house, like probably the most beautiful house. It's like historic in the neighborhood. It's been in like that show Nashville, and just
oh wow,
such a beautiful house. It was destroyed. And so they're still rebuilding it. Like that family has been out since like last year. So, and then down the street, you just see houses that were leveled. So like just empty lots, like on my street on either side. Like it's crazy. So, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like some people are back in their homes. Like we were really lucky to be able to get back. But yeah, and then North Nashville got hit. So I'm on the east side. North Nashville got hit really hard too. And same kind of thing. Like everybody's been in a different place with it. And tornadoes are so weird. And I didn't realize how they maneuvered. Like they just straight up like bounce. Like they'll pick up and put down. So one street could be totally fine. And then on either side, those streets adjacent are just demolished. So
wow,
it's such a weird. Oh man.
Yeah,
never experience that again.
It's very random. I've never experienced a tornado. However, in the town I live in, it's a small town, and not too far away, there was a tornado last year, and it ripped up trees, and people's cars and houses were destroyed, and I didn't even know what happened. So I heard it on the news, but the sporadicness of it is really insane.
Yeah.
Just like a mile away, just total devastation, and then nothing here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the pandemic really doesn't help.
No.
With getting these things fixed and rebuilding. There was a venue actually in Nashville called Basement East, right?
Yeah.
That was a victim of this, unfortunately. But your mural is now up on the wall there.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes. So they've rebuilt, and I got to go in there before they started the mural, and it's better than ever. I'm so happy for them, because it was just like they haven't been up. They were kind of a relatively new venue, or they had just been like changing it and like kind of reconstructing it. And so now it's better than ever. It's so great in there. But yeah. And then, like there's no musicians playing shows. So.
Right. I know. How much do you miss that? I ask everybody,
Yeah, it's fun. Like I didn't miss it too much in the beginning. I was like, okay, cool, break. Because I had done this really big tour at the end of 2019, and I was like, I'm good for a while.
Yeah.
Now and even just the local shows, like I would go to shows every week, like multiple times a week. And Nashville is just there's something happening every night. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. When this all started to happen in March, everyone, even people in charge were saying, "Oh, by April, you guys will be fine. You'll be ready to go." Yeah. And obviously, that's not the case. So at this point, not only as an artist such as yourself missing going out onto the road, but fans and people like me miss going to concerts. It's like it doesn't exist anymore, and I'm afraid that it's going to take a long time to come back. But I guess we got to do what we got to do.
We got to do what we got to do.
That's it. Just keep going. So I want to go back to the mural really quick, because that's an amazing feat. Okay. So what does that feel like? What did that feel like to see that for the first time?
Just crazy. My face is so big on a wall.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. I went with my partner, and we brought our dog. We got a puppy. We got a pandemic puppy. And so we just went, and we the first time I saw it, it was the three of us, like my little family. And it was really cool to just see the record cover and that magnitude. And the artist's name is Kim Radford, and she's such a badass. She does a lot of the murals for artists around town. And actually her husband played drums on my last record on Azalea. Okay. So I had known him through that, and he's a badass too. But yeah, so it's pretty weird. And now our grocery store is right down the street, so we pass it all the time. And
that was my next question. I was going to say, how many times do you go and see it? Because I'd be looking at it every day, honestly.
I kind of want to draw a mustache on it or something, like the last day that it's up.
You also lead an organization called Lachlan Strings. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. And that's one of the things I missed the most out of, everything all of this year. So Lachlan Strings is a community organization based, it's got we're string players, we're composers, artists, just kind of like a a community of musicians and who kind of use each other for different projects. But then each month we have a concert in normal times, and it would be like local composers writing brand new pieces for, and then the string players would play them, and then we do a couple songs with like some local artists, like singer-songwriters or bands or whatever. And then each month we would work with a different nonprofit, and the people that the organizers of those nonprofits would come and speak about what they do to that community. And so like I've been doing this, I started Lachlan Strings. It used to be Lachlan Sings, and it was in my living room 5 years ago when I moved in. I wanted to do a house show because I moved from LA, and before that I lived in DC and Boston. So I never lived in a place where I could like have multiple people in my space. So I wanted to do a big house show, and it's crazy. Like the first show started with 15 people, and then by the end of it, it was like 90 people in my living room. And now we have an actual space that we do, like an actual venue that we do it in. But yeah, I really miss it. Like we'll play on, I mean, we're still kind of doing some stuff like we'll do session work and stuff, but yeah, I miss the shows. That's one of the things I miss the most.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually watched one of the videos this morning, and
Cool.
I feel like a dummy because I don't remember the name of the song, but it was from Dark River. Somewhere,
Oh yes, yeah.
is it
Somehow I
somehow?
forgot the name too. Like
So,
sounds right.
all right, now I feel great about it. All
Yeah.
right. Somehow, it's so good. And I subscribed. So guys, check out Lachlan Strings on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good. Also, I checked out some of your music videos. I love the video for Dark River, the animated one.
Oh, thanks.
That is
Yeah.
so cool. Who did the animation for that?
So my partner did that, and he's
Oh wow.
well, pre-COVID, he was a touring drummer, so he was on the road all the time, and we like would see each other like every couple of months. And since then, obviously, like touring is no more, and
Yeah.
who knows when it will happen again. So he's actually like he started animating through COVID, and my video is his first ever animated video.
Wow.
He's like one of those people that like goes all the way in and just like learns something, and is just like he totally was absorbed by it. And
Right.
and now he's like even better than that video. Like he's using all these new programs. But yeah, so he taught himself animation and made that video, and we kind of got to work together on it. Like he'd be like, what do you think should happen next? And I'd be like, what about I jump on a giant bee and we like, I don't know, fly around.
Yeah.
And he's like, cool, that's great. Like he was so supportive of my insane ideas.
Yeah, and I really love the video. The animation's so unique. Like I've never seen anything. Animations. A lot of it looks the same.
Yeah.
When you watch like animated movies or cartoons, this really sticks out. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the record, Dark River. What are some of the most important themes or messages to the album?
There are a lot of subjects on the record. I really feel like the overall theme is like self-discovery and like not being put in a box, and just kind of like self-growth and being true to the person that you are, and not kind of wavering in that. Like I feel like I've had to I'm 31, and I feel like in the last, like my end of my 20s and like in the past couple of years, I've really just been trying to listen to myself and trust myself and listen to those gut reactions that are like those little gut feelings where you're like, oh, I feel like this isn't right, but I'm just not going to say anything. Like, no, that's your body and self telling you that, no, that's wrong or that's right. So just focusing on that. And that for me has meant a lot of different things, like meant kind of like, sharing more of who I am, being a little bit more vulnerable, being like expressing myself more to my family, to my friends and family, whatever. But just being like, hey, this is who I am. And I like finally know after all this time, and I'm gonna just kind of like, just not be afraid to express it all the time. So
Yeah. And, you know, that's a very important message, and it's very relatable. I relate to it, and I'm sure so many other people can relate to that. And it's inspirational, you know, to hear it done the way you've done it. And I'm not just saying this, like, you know, I have a lot of musicians on this show, and I all say the same, you know, I love the music that they play, but it's true. Like, the people that I have on the show, I'm interested in the kind of music they make. You know, I've been offered, you know, other interviews, and I listen to it, and it's just not my vibe or not my style. And, you know, I usually don't go with it. So, when I say, like, I really love it, I really do. It's it's like I said before, it has a classical vibe to it, but it feels very modern. And I can't wait. Well, first of all, so it's coming out February 26th. Where are we going to be able to get it? Is there going to be a vinyl available? Because I love vinyl. Yes. All right.
There is. I haven't received them yet, but they're coming. I think, you know, who knows? Honestly, I'm not having a release show. So I'm like, vinyl will get here when they get here. And that's one thing I'm not going to stress, because it's like out of my control, but they are coming. And yeah, I'm a big vinyl person too. Yeah. It's just so nice to have, like, I mean, I got CDs too, but like, it's just nice to have physical copies. It is.
And, you know,
hold it in your hand.
And there's something about a vinyl too, just the warmth of it, you know, the way it sounds and everything. And, you know, I couldn't help but think this morning, I was like, I really want like this on vinyl, you know, because it's, especially lately with the weather, like a nice like snowy Sunday, just throw it on. Perfect.
Yeah. Totally. I'm so happy you like it. I'm so happy that it's relatable to you. I feel like
absolutely
that's the thing when we share our stories. It's usually like we're never alone in it, and we're never alone in the experiences that we've had. Like, somebody somewhere is going to relate to that experience, and especially with just like, you know, finding out who you are and really like leaning into it and not being afraid, especially with social media, where we're just constantly served like, you should be this, or you should have this many likes or followers, or like look like this, or sound like this. Especially with music, it's like, I don't know, it's even hard for artists. Like, you see people that are successful and you're like, should I be making that type of music? Like, you know, it's just really hard to just be like, no, this is me, and stick with that. So yeah,
well, it definitely works for you. I can relate to that too. You know, like, I'm doing this podcast. I don't even really listen to podcasts. I just kind of do this, like, what I picture it to be, you know, instead of looking at other things and being like, oh, I should do that. I'm just
so smart.
And when I started off doing this, I mean, I was an awkward, nervous mess, you know, but then as I got more comfortable with it, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to be me and talk to people like I would talk to them if I met them at a coffee shop or at a bar, whatever. And that seems to work. People are much more comfortable with it, you know, and it's, I think, more enjoyable to listen to because it's more organic, you know?
Yeah. It's just two people talking rather than like it being formulated in some way. I've heard people, a lot of producers and even some artists say that they don't like to listen to, while they're in the record process, like recording a new project, they don't like to listen to other stuff because they don't want those influences. So I feel like that's really cool that I don't know, that's your style.
Yeah, no, thank you. And you know what? I mean, I just kind of stumbled upon that style, you know, I was just like, let me just try to do it my way without checking out anything else. And, you know, I guess it works. I don't know.
It's working, man.
It's working. I'm trying, you know?
Yeah.
So now, you were just saying before, you know, how many numbers and followers and things, but I think it's important to mention that you're pretty much independent, like no label, but yet you have over 6 million streams and probably more at this point, and millions of listeners all over the world, over 92 countries. So you're doing something right. And it's well deserved. So that's all I wanted to say on that. But yeah, it's how does it feel to have those numbers? I mean, those are huge numbers.
I mean, you know, I say like I feel like I just like, you know, you're not your numbers and whatever, but it's validating for sure. Like, and also we have to make money and I want to keep doing this. So Yeah, I feel really lucky to be doing so well as an independent artist. And I have a great team of people around me that I believe in, and that like I got to choose too. And that's always been very important to me since I started doing this. Like I want to still maintain like, you know, some control over it. I don't want to just be like, so many artists are just kind of like pawns. And
Yeah.
I don't want to be that. I want to be a part of the team. I want to be there, like in the decisions, let's brainstorm. Like I want to be a part of that. And so I feel like the team that I've got right now, like, this is my second like full length record. So I feel like I'm learning, you know, you learn so much like every time you do it. And in the last couple of years, I feel like I've learned so much. And this time I've really gotten to pick a great team of people that I believe in and that believe in me. And just to take some of the weight off of it too. Cause like, and I love talking to other independent artists that are kind of like trying to figure it out about this stuff because I've learned so much. And I feel like I want to share it now. Like, I don't know how, like, just even what these different people on your team should be doing for you. And so yeah, I feel lucky, and I want to pass that knowledge down. And if anybody, I don't know, if anybody's listening and wants to ask questions or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah. And it is such a weird, the music industry is so interesting. Like I can just be an independent artist. I don't have to have a label, but then sometimes I'm like, should I? Like, what would it look like if I did have a label? And so I don't know, it works differently for everybody. Some
Yeah.
people might need the label and want to go that route. So, but yeah, it's been working out so far.
I was going to say, it seems to be working without it. So
Yeah. And it's nice to like, you know, I own my music.
yeah, that's
Control of that.
that's one thing I've always, I've never been in the music industry. But I've always wondered that, like, how could you give someone else your art, like the rights to your art?
Truthfully, it's like I said, we have to make money, and we want to keep making art too. So it's like, I also get it. I feel like, and that's why I said, like, everybody's in their own situation with it. So it's like, you might have to sometime at some point. But then the hope is that you keep making art and that somebody will pay you to do that, and you make it so that you can keep doing that. But yeah, I've definitely always kind of leaned more to like, I want more control. I want to be able to like say when I want to go on tour, not just like have to tour for months and months at a time, or especially now that I have a puppy, like I can't imagine leaving her.
Well, what kind of dog?
She's an Australian Shepherd Border Collie mix.
Wow.
So she's like super hyper.
Just
crazy. But
we unfortunately lost our dog this past year. 15 years. He made it 15 years. Thank you. And he was a beagle. He was a great dog. And I'm just like, I don't want like a hyper dog, I want something that just like kind of hangs out.
Yeah. Like when we first, we wouldn't have been able to get a puppy if it wasn't for like the pandemic, because like I said, my partner tours and I don't know, I'm usually way busier. So, but in the beginning, man, we were so angry all of the time. We were like not sleeping. She was crazy as a puppy. And I hear like some of my friend just got a puppy, and I met it yesterday, and she's like, oh yeah, she sleeps through the night and like everything's so chill. I'm like, you suck.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
I know. And all the different breeds, and even like some dogs in the same breed are just completely different kinds of personalities and levels of hyperactivity.
Yes, very true.
I mean, our dog was great. He wasn't really hyper, but he was very persistent, and if you had food out, forget it. He would just bark at you until you gave him something, And then I'd go to other people's houses that have the same type of dog, a beagle, and he just sits there and doesn't say a word.
Yeah, like I guess you got like the firstborn or the last, I don't know. Like, it's just it has its own personality.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah. So let's get back into the music a little bit more. You've also worked with some of the most prolific names in the industry, including Dolly Parton, Willie Nelson, and Eminem, and so many more. I hate to put you on the spot, but which one was your biggest dream collaboration? I mean, it doesn't even have to be out of those three. Just in,
Yeah.
which.
I think, well, they were also different.
Yeah.
So, and they were all different. Like Eminem, I played with him at Bonnaroo, so that was like a live setting, and it was insane.
Wow.
It was like the headliner of Bonnaroo, and it was like hundreds of thousands of people, like the largest amount of people I've ever seen, period. And you don't even really, like, your brain can't fathom how many people it is, or, like, I feel like you don't get nervous at that point because your brain just doesn't get it. Like, we're not even registering how many people this is. But that was really cool for sure. But the first, so when I had just graduated from college, the first big gig I got was playing violin or I think I played viola with Rod Stewart, and Santana was opening for him. Wow. And so that was a pretty cool, I loved, that was another one of my dad's influences, like Maggie May, and I loved Rod Stewart growing up too. So that was a really cool show, just kind of concert to get to play and be a part. Like, we played a couple of shows with him, and so we got to hear Santana open each night, which I don't know who chose that. That lineup, who says that Santana should open for Rod Stewart? Not that either of them are they're both just so epic in their own way.
Right.
Yeah, that was a cool collaboration. Yeah, I mean, it was all cool, and seeing Dolly, she was I kind of idolized her when I was a kid. I grew up going to Dolly World in Tennessee with my Southern family, and so getting to see her, she's very much a larger than life character, but then really she's so down to earth, and I feel like you kind of get that with Dolly, how she speaks, and I don't know, she's just a good old girl from Tennessee, and tiny. She's so small in some ways, but large in other ways. She just that was really cool. It's each of them have been unique in their own way. So I feel like I want to say the Eminem one was probably the coolest, though, because it was just so high energy, and I grew up listening to Eminem, so that's amazing.
Did you get to talk to him at all, or
not at all,
pick his brain a little bit? No,
not at all.
He's an interesting character to me.
Yeah. And so he basically he showed up with his hood on, walked on stage, did his thing, got off, put his hood back on, and then got in a car, giant black SUV, and just left. So
right.
And then made so much money. It's wow, that is next level way of doing that.
Yeah. You'll be there. Don't worry.
Totally.
More recently, you've worked with one of my favorites and a friend of the show, Patrick Dampier.
Oh yeah. Oh cool.
I love him.
Oh man, yeah. So it's so crazy. So I reached out to him. So I mean, we're in the era of the mask, so it's you don't really know who you're meeting. And so I knew his music. I was familiar with his music. And then we did this, he ran sound and also did this live performance at this space called the Parthenon, which is this beautiful room. But this was my record release show. So we recorded this last week, and then he mixed it, and it sounds beautiful. But that will be out on February 26th as well. And so he's a super sweet guy, did the whole thing. And then I met him as Patrick. So the guy who was running the whole thing was like, "Hey, Lydia, this is Patrick." I was like, "Cool, nice to meet you." And then later on, he sent me some of the photos on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love your record, Say I'm Pretty." Yeah. And I had listened, so I downloaded that record when I went out of the country. I went to Cuba, And so I had like only my downloaded albums, and I went running every day when I was there, and I would listen to his music every day. So yeah, I'm a big fan of him too.
Yeah,
So
that album's so
talented.
good. That album's so good. He's so talented.
And we're actually going to write together. So since this whole process, I was like, he was like, do you ever co-write? And so we're going to write together in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I was actually going to ask you next. I was going to say, are you guys going to collaborate and do something together? Because that would sound amazing.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm humbled to meet all these people. It's crazy to me, you know?
I feel that way too. Like still in Nashville, there's so many amazing musicians that live here. Especially like right when I moved here, I was just kind of starting out with songwriting and stuff. I just moved from LA, and I would meet these people that I'd been listening to their records for like ever. And they're just like so nice. And I don't know. And so that's what I love about Nashville too. Like I just met Patrick, and he's down to write. Like people are just open to collaborating in a way that I've never seen that in any of the other musical cities that I lived in, which I don't think it's rare really that people just give people a chance here like that. So
right. You know, and that was one of my biggest things when I started this, was that was my hesitation, and that was my fear, that I was going to like meet all these people that I looked up to, and they weren't going to be nice or cool. And it's been the complete opposite.
Oh, good.
They actually go out of their way to like make you feel comfortable and continue to talk to you after the show airs, and then stay in touch. And it's been quite amazing, you know?
That's awesome.
I'm sure I'll come across somebody who's like a jerk at one point, but right now, smooth sailing from day one. So
that's so good to hear.
Yeah. So I'm going to wrap it up, but is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I really hope that you stay warm up there. And
Yeah.
I was about to complain about how cold it was down here until you said you're in New York.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I mean, it's not like last week was freezing to the point where my pipes in the house froze.
Oh no.
They didn't bust though.
Water?
Well, we had water.
Okay.
But the heat wouldn't kick on because it wasn't circulating. So the house was like 40 degrees. It was freezing. But I wound up de-thawing the pipe, and luckily it didn't bust. And, you know, we had heat the same day. It just took several hours to get there. Wow. Today, it's actually not that cold out. It snowed yesterday, but it's like, I want to say it's probably in the 30s here now. So it's not too bad, but we're getting another storm Tuesday and Thursday this week. So I'm just like, oh, come on.
Just go outside.
It doesn't end. Yeah. It doesn't. I don't have a snow blower, so it's just like shoveling, and it's a pain in the neck. Wow. But whatever.
That's crazy.
So there's one more question I ask everybody before I go, and it's so cheesy, but all right. On a scale from 1 to hell fucking yeah, how stoked were you to be here today? And you don't have to say the F word if you don't want to.
Hell fucking yeah.
All right. Awesome.
I'm going to say it.
No, that's great. Yeah. You know, some people I like to, you know, I know some people don't like to curse, and
that's kind.
I never had someone say, I'm not going to, they always say it. So, but I always like to put it out on the table. So, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And you were lovely to talk to. And I really love that album, and I can't wait to get it on vinyl. Dark River, February 26th. Be there.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Honestly, good time to do something like this. Like really smart.
Yeah. You know, that's kind of how this was like birthed in a way. I had a business. I owned a barbershop.
Oh, cool.
And it was just me. Like I ran it and operated the whole thing by myself. And then the pandemic hit, and I closed down for several months. And then I went back, and it just wasn't the same. I lost like more than half of my clients. Oh, yeah. And I built it up for years. You know, I wasn't going to like try it again. I was like, you know what? It's just not, I can't pay rent and not have people come in. It's just not going to work. So, you know, people started cutting their hair, or they wound up going somewhere. I don't know, whatever they did. So I closed it down, and of course that was a sad moment, but this came out of it. Yes. And I've always wanted to do something like this. So I just went with it, and I got in touch with my friend I mentioned before, Christopher. He knows a lot of people, and he started getting me people. And he's like, man, he's like, this couldn't be a better time. He's like, everyone's at home bored out of their minds.
Exactly.
They're like, yeah.
For like people like me who are releasing records and we're
Yeah.
looking for things like I can't go play shows. So how are people going to get to know me or like, you know, just kind of get a little glimpse of like who I am. You can't do that from social media.
No.
Really, you know?
No.
So like podcasts doing this kind of stuff is so great for that. So it's perfect timing.
It really is. It really is. And it's like I said, it's turning out great. And I'm making like this weird little dream come true at the age of almost 40 years old. So
hell fucking yeah.
You know, hell fucking yeah. Lydia, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I will be in touch with you and I'll get this out tomorrow.
Okay, awesome.
All right, thank you
so much.
Thank you. Day. You too, and stay warm.
I will. You too.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.